Starting with a basic introduction about what is microeconomics. Microeconomics, as the name suggests, it deals with the economy on a narrow scale, for instance, the economic decision making of individuals. Some of the examples of microeconomics include how a local business decides to allocate their funds, how a city decides to spend a government surplus. Microeconomics is the study of individuals, households, and firms' behavior in decision making and allocation of resources. Microeconomics uses a set of fundamental principles to make predictions about how individuals behave in certain situations involving economic or financial transactions. These principles include the law of supply and demand, opportunity cost, and utility maximization. Microeconomics also applies to businesses. Let us understand what is the meaning of the principle cost matters. In microeconomic theory, the opportunity cost of a particular activity option is the loss of value or benefit that would be incurred by engaging in that activity relative to engaging in an alternative activity which is offering a higher return in value or benefit. The smaller the opportunity cost, the greater the comparative advantage. For example, if you buy a car and use it exclusively for travel, you cannot rent it. Whereas if you rent it, you cannot use it for travel. More simply put, opportunity cost means you give up one thing for another. Taking another simple example from a student's daily life, a student spends 3 hours and $20 at the movies the night before an exam. Here, the opportunity cost is the time spent studying and that money to spend on something else. As we know that resources available for production and economic goods are limited and they have alternative uses. Thus, when we use an economic commodity or resources in one use, then we have to sacrifice the opportunity to use it in another use. Thus, it is the value of the factor in its best alternative use. Let us take an illustration of opportunity cost in production. Suppose a land of hectares is to be used by a farmer for the production of apples. This could be one of the uses of the land. But due to any specific reason, if the farmer has to use that land for the production of mangoes, then this could be a different usage of the same land. In economics, this use is known as opportunity. Shifting from the production of apples to mangoes involves the same cost to the farmer, which is the loss of output of apples. Sunk cost fallacy is when we continue an action because of our past decisions, be it time, money, or resources, rather than a rational choice of what will maximize our utility at the present time. For example, because we order a big meal and have paid for it, we feel pressurized to eat all the food. In business, a sunk cost fallacy can cost a business greater financial losses. For example, suppose a firm invested $1 billion in research for developing a more efficient CD player. It may feel that because it has invested $1 billion, it should continue with more research until it can bring it to the market and get something back for the amount that he has invested. However, if we see that CDs are no longer selling, it would be more rational on the business's part to write off these sunk costs rather than wasting more money on developing a product which will never make a profit. If managers were attached to past investment, they would keep going even though it leads to bigger loss in the near future. To conclude with, resources are limited in life, especially with goods, services, money, and time. Opportunity cost simply becomes a matter of deciding which trade offs you can live with. Regardless of your choice, you will incur some sort of opportunity cost in life. If you can relate with the video and you have similar examples from your day to day life, then please leave a comment down.